Showcase. My name is Allison Calabro with the Veterans Benefits Administration, and I will be your moderator today. To kick off our Showcase series, we have Larry Long, Director of Recreation Therapy Service in the Veterans Health Administration. Larry will highlight a successful non-monetary public-private partnership between the VA and a non-governmental organization which provides recreational activities to veterans through fly fishing and fly tying. But before we get to Larry, I'd like to hand it over to Doug Carmen, Special Assistant to the Secretary of Veterans Affairs for Public-Private Partnerships, who will tell us a little more about the broader public-private partnership effort. Doug, over to you.
Thank you, Allison. Hello, everyone. The American people are generous in their support of our men and women in uniform. When they return home, we need to harness all that gratitude and goodwill in both the public and private sectors to deliver the best possible services to them. One way to do this is through responsible and productive partnerships. These partnerships help us to build capacity, leverage resources, address new and emerging needs, and build on the experiences and knowledge of each other. Plus, it's just the right thing to do. Partnerships are a force multiplier in meeting our historic mission. They are allowing us to expand our knowledges and expertise. It's often that second and fresh perspective that give new answers to old problems. The ability to collaborate effectively is essential in both business and government. My work is focused on finding ways to enhance VA's ability to partner with non-governmental organizations to augment our services to veterans and their families. Working very hard over the past few years to enhance those partnerships by focusing on those elements that are at the heart of successful collaborations and can become commonplace for other partnerships. This helps us develop and maintain responsible and productive partnerships while eliminating some of the red tape and providing better services. A number of public-private success and community impact. Now, for an example of what I've just shared, let's go over to Larry, who will give us an in-depth look at a successful partnership that provides recreational therapy to veterans through fly fishing. And during the presentation, if you have any questions, please send them to p3@va.gov. Now over to Larry.
Thanks for that fine introduction. And thanks very much for the opportunity to share some of the key elements of our partnership. And at the end of this overview, I look forward to answering questions from our listeners. This presentation will provide an overview of VA's recreation therapy service, as well as an overview of one of our successful partnerships. You will hear how this program has benefited veterans and how participation in recreational activities enhances rehabilitation. You will hear about volunteer requirements and why this partnership is a success. Last but not least, I will share with you a veteran's story and how this partnership has changed one veteran's life. As early as 1918, this country recognized the need to provide care and services to address the physical, mental, social, and emotional needs of our nation's veterans. It was in 1937, just prior to World War II, that Congress passed legislation to fund the VA hospitals for recreational activities and facilities for the veterans being served. Our mission is to provide active therapy and meaningful therapeutic activities to maintain or improve functional independence and add meaning to one's life. The mission is accomplished with the support of over 800 recreation and creative arts therapists. Although there are a number of excellent partners that support recreation therapy service, I will highlight one that got its start at Walter Reed Army Medical Center in year 2005 and in VA facilities in year 2006. This partnership is not a one-and-done deal for us, and I will address this when I talk about sustainability and resources. To date, this program, we have over 160 programs in 49 states. This program has received prominent media coverage, and this is what they had to say. It is the serenity of fly fishing that these disabled soldiers are yearning for, to recapture what the horror of war has taken away. And Fox said, bringing wounded vets fly fishing to heal their mind and soul. Some of the benefits of this program for our nation's veterans are they get the opportunity to participate in leisure activities. The activities that they participate in and the benefits are associated with health benefits. The activities provides a sense of accomplishment. They provide an environment for social involvement. They assist patients in managing stress through activities that relaxes both mind and body. Some of the rehabilitation benefits are this nonprofit partners weekly fly fishing and fly tying lessons augment treatment interventions provided by other members of the rehabilitation team. It's a known fact that sports and recreation teaches patients how to live fully in spite of any limitations they may have. Our patients are able to learn new skills and or modify old ones to compensate for abilities they may have lost. Volunteers are very important to the Department of Veterans Affairs. The age to begin volunteering in a medical facility differs at each facility. Some hospitals are long-term care facilities, while others deal with more acute care of veterans. Also, each state has youth and employment and volunteering. A minimum background check may be required. This fingerprint check or as detailed as a your volunteer assignment will determine the extent of the process. Our primary responsibility is the safety of our veterans. You can contact us and we will connect you with a local VA voluntary service program manager. You probably can imagine that I have received many calls from and meet on a regular basis with a number of non-governmental organizations. But during the meetings with the founder and CEO of this partnering organization, the number one theme from day one is that this will not be a one and done group. Many organizations come to us and they ask for opportunities to contribute to the well-being of our veterans, but you don't see them after one or two visits. But for this organization, the relationship has been sustained since 2006 at the VA facilities. We meet on a regular basis with not only this organization, but other organizations that contact us, and we provide them an opportunity to brief our staff on a regular basis on the progress of the program. Again, this program has been in existence in VHA facilities since year 2006 and is sustained with volunteer support. Thanks to a grateful nation, since the year 2006, this organization has donated over 122,000 volunteer hours. Last year, 424 clubs and chapters donated over 7,400 volunteer hours to VA. To date, over 4,000 veterans and service members have benefited from this program. What I'd like to do is share with you the perspective of one of our veterans, and I'll call it a veteran story. Joe spent more than 25 years in the U.S. Army, 20 of those years as an explosive ordnance disposal technician. In June of the year 2009, while on active duty, a devastating motorcycle accident left him with multiple injuries, including head trauma and spinal cord damage. He battled for his life in the ICU, then, like so many others, battled for recovery. The little things were so physically draining on him. The brain injury frustrated him further as he struggled with forgetfulness and word association. With the basics of daily living being so difficult, he lost interest in things he used to enjoy. All he wanted was to get up and walk again and be independent. Nearing the end of his 107th day stay at a VA medical center, where he learned to walk again, a recreational therapist tried to get him involved with a partner organization, but he resisted. He did participate in kayaking. One day, his kayaking group took him on a fishing trip. Then something happened. The fish kindled a desire in him to try it again. He took a free casting class and soon thereafter reconnected with the recreational therapist about fly fishing. Through this partnering organization, Joe learned that fly tying not only helped prepare him for his next trip to the water, but it was an outlet that helped him to stay focused and on task. Whenever he feels frustrated or angry, he goes to the garage to tie flies. Most of the time, when he comes in from the garage, he can't remember what was causing his frustration. Although physical injuries may heal, there will always be injuries you can't see that need to heal too. Fly fishing is more than catching fish. It has proven to be very therapeutic. Fly fishing might not seem like a big deal to some, but it can be a real boost for many disabled veterans.
Thanks, Larry. Great presentation. Now we're going to open up the forums for some question and answer. Here's our first question. Okay. All right, here's our first question. How did the partnership between Recreation Therapy Service and this particular organization start? Larry, that one's for you.
Thank you, Allison. That's a good question. This partnership began with a referral from a coworker that was followed up by me with a call to the CEO and founder of this particular organization. We have a vetting process that includes a review of information provided by the NGO to determine the appropriateness of their service or program for veterans in our care. Our review consists of looking at what kind of organization the potential partner is. Are they a nonprofit or for-profit organization or lobbyists? We look at the organization's mission and goals, history, services, and programs. If it's approved, contact information for a supervisory recreational therapist is shared with the partnering organization so that plans can begin to establish a program.
Great, thanks, Larry.
You're welcome.
Okay, looks like we're getting our second question. And Doug, this one's for you. How can public-private partnerships help my program or organization?
Wow, so there's a lot of different ways that public-private partnerships can benefit, obviously, both sides of the organization. One of the first ones that comes to mind is looking at the way that public-private partnerships leverage resources. So when you pull several organizations together, it's really multiplies those resources and allows them to serve a lot more individuals, a lot more services and that throughout the community and the programs that are implemented there. As well as it really expands the capacity of the organizations that are partnering together. Public-private partnerships also reinforce those strengths, and they also help address weaknesses that are within the organization. So maybe one organization may not be able to do something as well as they would like to do, and maybe they've got some competencies and some skills that they need to build within their own staff, so that when they're able to partner with another organization that has that as a strength, they can really build that and bring on some of those skills and competencies within their own organization. Another area that comes to mind is shared associated risk, because when the more organizations you pull in together, then you share some of those inherent risk of a public-private partnership and a demonstration project that you're looking at launching together. And then ultimately what this does is it really allows that public-private partnership to produce a greater impact to our veteran community members. So that comes to mind.
Great, thanks, Doug. Okay, here's our next question. How large is the organization in which you are partnered? Can small nonprofits also partner with VA? Larry, that one's for you.
Thank you, Allison. Another good question. The organization we are partnered with has over 400 clubs and chapters, and they're located in 49 states throughout this country. We have found that this size, or the size of an organization, is easily scalable and replicable in our communities. And as you can tell by the presentation, this particular partnership has spread like wildflowers over the last few years. This partnership started in one area with a type of demonstration project that was then revised and launched in additional locations each year as resources were secured and impact demonstrated. Organizations smaller and larger than this can partner with VA. The nice thing is that partnerships can be tailored to the organizations, so long as they are responsible and productive.
Very good. Okay, and it looks like we have another question. Here we go. This one's for Doug. Does each chapter need to negotiate separately with each local VA medical center, or is there national level coordination between the nonprofit and VA?
Another great question. I would say with that, the answer is yes, yes to both. There are instances where you'll have a public-private partnership that really is a negotiation, and it's going to happen at a local VA medical center. And then you're going to have other public-private partnerships that will be more national on scope, where you may find yourself having those interactions, those exploratory discussions, all those kinds of different feasibility tests with leadership that takes you up the chain, and maybe it's here in Washington, D.C., maybe it's a VISN director, or maybe it is a director down at a VA medical center. So to answer that, really, it really depends on the type of partnership that you're looking to engage into, and also what type of service that you're looking to build around that partnership, what issue it's looking to address, as well as the players that are being involved into that.
Good, thank you. Okay, we have time for some more questions. This one is also for Doug. What is the means or venue by which corporations can partner or collaborate with VA? And they expand on that. I'm thinking of hiring initiatives, corporate social responsibility, exchange of management practices, technology partnerships, major philanthropic foundations, etc.
There's a lot of different ways that corporations, nonprofits, for-profit organizations can look at engaging and partnering with VA around those different types of venues. And a lot of it comes into finding that access point within VA to find that champion who understands the partnership that you're looking to form, how to build that, and then where within VA you can go to look at what resources are available, what kind of facility, what kind of leadership, and what are all the different players that need to be put into the room to make that happen. So that when we look at that, we look at all the different stakeholders that come into play on both the public and private sectors.
Okay, we have time for a few more questions. And Doug, you may have touched on this one, but how do we become an official partner?
How do we become official partner? Well, that's a very interesting question. It really depends on exactly what type of partnership you're looking to get into. It's very specific on the type of service that you're looking to engage around. For example, if it's around unemployment, or if it's around mental health services, or veterans benefits, or peer counseling, anything like that, you're going to have to look at putting together a type of program, and then look at all the different roles and responsibilities of the players within that program. What roles and responsibilities are looking to be achieved through the Department of Veterans Affairs, and then those by the private sector partner, whether it's a nonprofit or for-profit or university, whatever issue is they're looking to address. So on the broad scale of how do we become an official partner, there isn't a specific path because it depends on the type of partnership, what the roles and responsibilities are. But initially, you just want to put together a concept or an idea if it's coming from the private sector, or you want to address an issue that VA is seeking to get addressed, and find a way to work with different offices within VA.
Okay. We have another question, and Doug, this is for you as well. Has there been a discussion on developing a how-to manual for nonprofit organizations to create a partnership?
Wow, I like that question a lot because you know, originally I came from the nonprofit sector before I joined the Department of Veterans Affairs, and I know, having been on the other side of the table, that oftentimes you know, there are some gray areas where, as a private sector organization, it may not be very clear about exactly how you can partner with government, specifically the Department of Veterans Affairs. And so when we look at increasing and enhancing our public-private partnerships throughout VA, one of the areas we really want to address is educating not only VA staff internally about how to conduct responsible and productive public-private partnerships, but also the private sector, how to work with the government, how to work with VA, what are some of the do's and don'ts. So when we look at you know, that question of what kind of educational pieces are there to help the nonprofits understand, or the private sector understand partnerships, that is definitely on one of our deliverables that we're hoping to roll out within the next year or so, is how to increase awareness of some of those different strategies and different ways that the private sector can work with VA.
Wow, thanks, Doug. A lot of good information there. Okay, another question. What types of organizations are included under the umbrella term non-governmental organization? Doug?
Okay, thank you for that question. That's a good one because we get that all the time, not only from our private sector, our NGO colleagues, but as well as VA staff. And non-governmental organization, or NGO, as you might hear bantered about quite a bit, really encompasses any kind of organization that is not owned or run by the government. For instance, you look at the private and volunteer sector organizations. We look at that being inclusive of nonprofits, charities, and foundations, military and veteran service organizations, universities and realtors, for-profit companies, small and large businesses, and everything in between. Those are all the different types, and that certainly is not all inclusive. But that gives you sort of a taste of what is a non-governmental organization, and it really does fall into any organization, as I said earlier, that is not owned or operated by the government.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it looks like we have time for one final question. And Doug, of course it's for you. Here we go. Are public-private partnerships occurring in other agencies in the federal government?
Yes, they definitely are. And as we looked internally to enhance our public-private partnerships, one of the first things we did was a bit of research to look at what are some of the other departments within the administration doing. And what we found was there is a lot of momentum throughout the administration to really leverage public-private partnerships. So leaders are definitely recognizing the value of public-private partnerships, looking at the limited resources that are available now. And when we looked at the different departments, looking at the Department of State, USAID, Department of Justice, HUD, HHS, and others within the administration, you really see that a number of them, while they have some different structures, different staffing, different priorities, ultimately what they're all looking at doing is standing up offices of public-private partnerships, may not be under that exact same name, but they're standing up these offices so the government can be a better partner to the private sector and look at ways we can better serve our customers and clientele. So one thing to keep in mind, if you would like to learn more about the federal agencies and that have some of those offices of public-private partnerships, go to their websites at some of the organizations that I mentioned before, the departments within the administration, and they have their offices. Most of them have a website, so just go to those websites and you can find out more information about what they're doing around public-private partnerships.
Great. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate that. Well, a big thanks to everyone for submitting your questions. We greatly appreciate your engagement. Now I'm going to hand it back over to Doug for some final thoughts.
Thanks, Allison. Those are some great questions, everyone. And as Larry illustrated a little earlier, partnerships can be a game-changing tool. No organization can be all things to all people in all places. VA is looking to expanding our capabilities by leveraging the value of responsible and productive partnerships. We are committed to making our collaborations the very best that they can be. I know there's a lot of work to be done, but I can assure you that VA is committed to making this work. I want to thank you for your support of the VA and your dedication to serving America's veterans and their family. So now I'll turn it back over to you, Allison.
Thank you, Doug, Larry, and everyone who joined us today. This presentation has been recorded and will be available on YouTube for you to share with your networks. And please also send us some feedback. Reach out to us at p3@va.gov to let us know if this was a useful event, what you liked, and what we can improve on. Thanks for hanging out, and see you next time.